Go ahead.
He had told me that more often than not.
Wait, can you speak certain?
Yeah, he had told me that more often than not. I have been pursued by many men who think I am gorgeous and beautiful. That perception exists whether you have it or not.
All right, fellas. Today we've got a woman who straight up said, and I'm not kidding, she's hotter than 95% of planet Earth while tipping the scales at about 300 pounds. Yeah, that happened. Now look, I'm all for confidence, but when self-love turns into self-delusion, someone's got to say it, and I'm that someone. So grab a drink, tighten your seatbelt, and prepare your sanity, because this one is wild.
We'll start with you. We'll go around the table. Go ahead.
8.
So 8.5.
8.5.
I'm a 10.
7.
8.
6.5.
I'd say 7.5, 8, 4.
That's lower than last time. Yeah. I used to say 6. I'm a 5.
In front of all these beautiful women, how could I ever not humble myself down to a 4, really?
Proud of you, Andrew.
Yeah.
Took guts.
I'm a 5. I give myself a 5. So wait, 8.5, 10, 7? 8? Okay. All right.
Brian, you rated yourself lower than usual.
Yeah, I've been getting a little chubby.
6.5.
See, now that's humble.
Yeah, that's humility.
That's
right there.
humble. That's humility. Right? That's the thing that's usually harder for men to do. Just say it. Just point it out.
I've noticed a pattern here. I think men tend to fairly accurately self-assess their own level of physical attractiveness, whereas
I've heard
women
men
not so
have
much.
more self-esteem issues than women do.
What's that?
I've heard men have more self-esteem issues than women do.
I feel like I disagree a little.
Why would you say that?
And I also heard that they're also more emotional.
Oh, here we go. The Olympics of Delusion just kicked off. First round, rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10. And suddenly, everyone's a runway model. 8, 8.5, 10? Man, be serious. If you're a 10, then what do we call Beyonce? Divine? Meanwhile, the guys are over here keeping it real. I'm a 5. I dropped to a 4 out of humility. See that? That's called self-awareness. Men get it. We look in the mirror and go, yeah, I'm built like a used couch, but I still show up to work. But some of these women, they skip the mirror, look into a vision board, and go, I am the prize. Yeah, maybe in a raffle where the prize is a motivational speech and a tub of Ben & Jerry's, and then someone says, men have more self-esteem issues than women. Really? Because from what I just saw, these dudes rated themselves lower in front of a table full of women. That takes honesty and balls.
Are they?
Who have you heard these things
Yeah, because,
from?
well, I mean, you guys will act off based off pride, and that is going to be like an emotion thing, not necessarily logic.
Okay.
Do you think men or women have more cosmetic surgery?
I think probably women.
Yeah, probably women. Do you think that that's because they have way more self-esteem than men?
I don't
point.
think that necessarily what I'm talking about is the same thing. I just mean
I think it is.
Symmetric.
well, for instance, you just rated yourself a 4, right?
Yeah.
And maybe people may not agree with you, and I just rated myself a 10, and people may not agree with me, right? But we're just talking about simple our self-esteem. My self-esteem is clearly higher than yours.
No, I'm not sure that we are. I think that what we're talking about is a value judgment, and I think that I'm making a way better value judgment than the value judgment that you're making. So the value judgment that I'm making is this: I'm old, and I'm married, and I'm out of shape, and I smoke, right? And I'm not a very pleasant person to be around for long periods of time, especially for the opposite sex. Like, I know all of these things about myself, so my value judgment overall is a 4. Tell me the value judgment of how you came to a 10.
Oh yeah, I just think that in general we should think that we are great.
Right, so you just decided it there's no value judgment there, you just decided it.
Yeah, he asked me what I would rate myself, and because it's my opinion
Looks.
about myself,
Just looks.
It took a long time for me to love myself, and I do now. And so yeah, I think that, like, you know, I'm a Misty 10.
Hold up. Men act off pride, not logic. Right. Because nothing screams logic like injecting your lips with filler and calling yourself a 10 after watching one TikTok about self-love. Then we get into cosmetic surgery, and she admits women get way more work done. But somehow, men have lower self-esteem? Ma'am, if you need 3 filters, lash extensions, and a ring light just to FaceTime your dog, we're not the ones with issues. Now this man, this absolute legend, rates himself a 4 and explains why. I'm old. I smoke. I'm not pleasant to be around. That's what men do. We assess, we improve. We don't fake reality just to feel good. I just think in general we should think we're great. No standards, no evaluation, just vibes. Look, self-love without self-awareness is just delusion in a glitter bottle. You don't become a 10 by declaring it. You become a 10 by earning it. That man told the truth and gave himself a 4. You told a fairy tale and gave yourself a crown. Honestly, I've seen more logic in a toddler picking cereal.
I have a question for you. Wait, hold on, just one sec. Do you
And
think
you're a 7.5?
I said 8.
Oh.
Yeah, get it right.
How
Andrew.
did you
Get
come?
it right,
How did you
Andrew.
come to that value judgment?
Because I don't put within my value within a rigidity. That's not the right word. Rigidity. Thank you.
Rigidity, yeah.
I don't put that within that rigidity of certain, I guess,
Value judgments.
more subjective opinions about what value is, because I know my value, I know my worth, and I know my beauty that I hold within myself for myself, and that is appreciated by other people, because at the end of the day, beauty is subjective, and it is absolutely within my right to hold myself to a higher value in how I conduct myself in the world around me.
Yeah, but when you're talking about the value judgment here, my wife, I'm sure that she has a way higher value judgment of me than I have of me. I would agree that she probably should. From her subjective assessment, she probably thinks I'm a great provider. She thinks I'm a great father. She thinks I take care of all of my responsibilities and duties. She can 100% trust me. So she probably has this really high value judgment of me. But when I'm doing an actual assessment of me, like Andrew Wilson, the person, and my looks and how it's reflected outwards to other people, right? I'm adding this value, this value, this value, this value, this value, like a mathematical formula to come up with that equals 4. What are you doing to come up with that other than I just think that we should have high self-esteem so that because I just think so.
Because I know I'm a good person.
Wait, I don't put my value within rigidity or rigidity. I mean rigidity. Sis just fought 3 different syllables and lost the battle. R.I.P. to grammar. Then she gives us a motivational speech about how her worth is internal and appreciated by others. Listen, you're 300 pounds of confidence right now. And I respect the self-love, but if you're going to rate yourself an 8, we need to see at least one visible neck. Then the man speaks. No fluff. My wife sees me as valuable, but I know where I stand. He talks about being a provider, a father, a protector. That's real male value, not just feeling good. Meanwhile, she's like, I just know I'm beautiful because I know I'm a good person. Being a good person doesn't make you an 8 on the look scale. That's like saying your car's engine is trash, but the paint is shiny. So it's a Ferrari now? Confidence is good. Delusion, not so much. If you weigh more than an NFL lineman and still say, I'm an 8, that scale is doing more lifting than you are. Bottom line, self-worth is earned. Discipline, accountability, health, work ethic, that's the math. Everything else is just Wi-Fi confidence with 0 physical download.
I care enough about myself to take my health back into control when I was being consistently shamed when I was gang stalked on r/fat people hate in 2015, when I have
Looks like it works.
I'm still speaking.
I mean, it looks like it works.
I'm still
right?
speaking.
It
and you
works
get-
because you're going to
you know,
change.
you're really great at over talking and being disrespectful, and I'd love the opportunity to get my point across.
Okay, but so just to cut in here a little bit, the original question was rate your looks,
Yeah.
because you mentioned your personality. You have a great personality
he
or
wasn't
whatever it
only
is.
And like
He
I said,
mentioned
my
his
fatness
personality.
doesn't devalue me.
Why?
So I'm an 8.
Why doesn't it?
I don't have a busted face. I'm just fat. Well, congrats. That's like saying my car's engine exploded, but at least the bumper's intact. She says it's not her problem if people reduce her value because of her fatness. Actually, it kind of is your problem. If you're applying for a job and show up out of breath from the parking lot, it becomes everyone's problem. I'm not losing weight for looks. I'm doing it for health. Cool. And I'm learning boxing not to fight, but for the poetry. She says she's been working on herself for 2 to 3 years now. Yeah? And how's that progress chart looking? Because it sounds like the only thing that's lost in 3 years is accountability. Let's cut the nonsense. No one said you're worthless. But when we ask about looks and you start bringing up Reddit trolls, 2015, and self-love poetry, you're dodging the scoreboard. Men rate themselves low because they know how the world works. Women rate themselves high, then get mad when reality doesn't agree. You say you're an 8, but if your self-worth needs 20 paragraphs of emotional justification, maybe, just maybe, you're not an 8?
Because I think that fat
'Cause you
can be beautiful. It's my assessment of my looks, right?
Perceptive.
Yeah, but why
okay.
is it that your
Why
own
ask
assessment
her
of
to
your
tell her
looks
that her
has
perception's wrong?
nothing to do with how the external world perceives you? That's my
Because I
problem.
don't give a
But how
shit.
can you
Right, because you don't
decide?
care, so there's no
I
real
don't care
value
about,
judgment.
I don't care about other people's
how can
opinion
you-
of
how
me.
can
It's
you
not more
speak for
important
the
than the
rest
opinion
of
of
the
I hold of
world?
myself.
Yeah,
and
it
if you
is.
don't- If you don't live that way, that sucks for you.
If there's a value judgment of how you would self-assess your own looks, the only possible conceivable metric I could even think of would be the perception of how other people view you for your value judgment
And
of
I
how
was in a
you look.
relationship for
How would
almost
you
8
know
years with
about
someone
that,
who
though?
thought my
How would you-
body
how could he-
was
how could
the
you ever
most
come up with a
beautiful
metric?
thing
But
he had
that's what I'm saying,
ever
you
seen.
decided that was perceptive.
And
You just
he had told me
decided
that
those are the things that you
more
were gonna
often
hold
than
on.
not.
Go ahead.
He had told me that more often
Wait,
than
can
not.
you speak certain
Yeah,
time?
he had told me that more often than not. I have been pursued by many men who think I am gorgeous and beautiful. That perception exists whether you have it or not.
Here we go again. The classic, I don't care what anyone thinks of me defense. That's cute, but let's be real. If you truly didn't care what people thought, you wouldn't be sitting here explaining it like it's a TED Talk. Look, the entire question was about looks, not about how much self-love you bought off Etsy. Looks are inherently external. They're about how others see you. You don't get to redefine that just because the truth is uncomfortable. Saying, I'm a 10 because I believe it, is like me saying I can dunk because I feel tall inside. Doesn't make it true. And the I dated someone who thought I was the most beautiful thing ever line? Come on, that's not a universal value. That's one guy with a kink and low standards. If 10 people walk by you in the street and 9 look away, that's a signal. You can ignore it, but don't pretend it doesn't exist. Confidence is great. Delusion is not. And this ain't self-love, it's self-insulation. You can have worth. You can even have beauty in your own way. But if you're going to talk numbers, don't act like the mirror doesn't count.
Okay, so assume for a second, I can assume inside of, I can envision a world where you're the only human being who's inside of the
And
world.
guess what? I'll
And
never
if
be
you're
the only one who thinks
and
I'm
if
hot,
you're-
and I know that bugs the shit out of you,
If you're
dude.
the only human being who's inside of a
of his
world,
own
I can
low
perceive,
self-esteem opinion.
I can perceive that I can come up with whatever metric I want for myself because I have nothing to compare it to. So if I have nothing to compare it to and I have nobody else's value judgment, then I can say I'm the most beautiful person who's ever lived, and that would be true. But if I have
asked
the
us all
value
opinions.
judgment of hundreds of millions of people
do you
to
mean?
compare the standard to, and I know that I'm below that threshold and just decide that I'm above that threshold anyway,
I'm not the only
that's not
person who
based
makes
on
that
anything
decision.
objective. You're just making shit up.
No, I'm
Literally
not,
asked us
babe.
our opinion. So yes, it was a made-up opinion from us.
Yeah, it is. For sure.
Yeah,
It's
but that
way
was the point.
overstated.
That
What's
was the
true.
point. The only person who's not happy
Your
about that is you.
perception of your truth is not the same for myself or,
Thank you.
or
Amen.
anyone
How
else.
about that?
Yeah, what is truth in a world
And
that
also,
you're
and,
an 8?
and what societal standards in which country?
I must
In
bug the
every
shit out of
country
you.
on planet Earth, she's not an 8.
Wait, what?
You're ridiculous.
I don't-
It's ridiculous.
In different places,
be
different
nice.
people
Let's
like
keep
different
things
things.
Yeah, he's so combative, bro. It's wild.
Well,
He gets very upset in the
I
different
live
things.
in reality.
Bro.
Do you know what
And
reality
that
is?
is the bottom line here, and I've been respectful. We're how many
It's not
hours in?
disrespectful. I'm just telling you what's true.
Oh, what was
I think
the
it's
what
like
was the
the
fuck up about me
energy.
being a mother, bro?
that
the
was
energy
me.
you put towards it.
That was me
Guys,
being
let's,
able to.
No,
It's
I'm
interesting-
not.
it's
I'm not
interesting to
gonna. I
claim-
have been taking it respectfully for hours now.
But to be fair, also, it's interesting to claim to be so religious and so close to Jesus and be so negative.
To tell the truth?
No, I'm just saying, just to be so
What would
negative.
Jesus do? He'd
He
be
would
like,
turn-
"You're a 10,
he would literally
sweetheart.
turn the other
Forget
cheek.
objective
He would
reality."
turn the other cheek.
If I believed in
He would
Jesus,
turn the
he
other
would love
cheek.
me as one of God's children.
Yes.
He would have known that
Yes.
it's my
Your
journey and my
negativity
life.
is
But he would know
embarrassing
you're
to the
fat too,
religious
whether he
claims
loved
that
you
Yeah,
or not.
and you know what? Being fat is not bad.
It's embarrassing though to
And
claim
that's
the
the
religion you
fundamental
have.
disagreement we
Which is
have.
how
Insane.
negative.
Just
you
fucking
speak.
crazy.
It is. Yeah,
Like-
there's gonna be other people who are gonna be like, I don't claim this because it's like this is part of the reason why you're hypocritical.
There's
It's
no
for
hypocrisy.
You claiming to love and be this one big thing, and then to be so negative instead of encouraging or say even anything in actually
Love thy neighbor,
the best
less
form of
fat, right?
encouragement
in
is what
actually
she's
a
getting.
constructive way, you kind of just get pink and start yelling.
Okay, so now we're living in a fantasy world where you're the only human alive, and in that world, you're magically the hottest person on earth. That's not confidence. That's called playing house in your head. Reality check. Beauty is comparative. Always has been, always will be. You don't get to declare yourself a 10 just because it feels good. That's like failing a test and giving yourself an A because you tried real hard. And yes, when hundreds of millions of people have standards, your personal delusion doesn't override the collective perception. That's not society being mean. That's society being honest. What is truth? Oh, please. Don't go full philosophy student just because you're losing the argument. You're not a victim of cultural bias. You're a victim of ignoring a mirror and thinking feelings are facts. Then we get the Jesus wouldn't say that card. Listen, Jesus loved people, but he didn't lie to them. He didn't hand out participation trophies and say, you're perfect just the way you are. Truth isn't hate. Truth is correction. You don't have to like it, but that doesn't make it negative. It's not mean to say being fat isn't beautiful. It's reality. And sugarcoating it in the name of religion or self-love, that's dishonest. Self-respect starts when fantasy ends. And no matter how loud you scream, I'm a 10, the world ain't buying it, because confidence without reality is just noise. All right, fellas, that's enough delusion for one day. I've seen reality bent, twisted, and straight up ignored. And honestly, my brain needs a cold shower after that one. If you're still watching, hit that like button to support actual sanity. Subscribe for more unfiltered truth and drop a comment. Until next time, keep it real, stay sharp, and don't let the internet gaslight you. Peace.